Welcome back to the Better Late Than Never Club. I'm Bec.
And I'm Frost.
Tonight we venture to space.
To space! We're watching Apollo 13, which I feel like I should know more about it than I do. I don't quite know which spaceship this is about.
Probably Apollo 13.
Well, sorry, let me rephrase. I know that it's presumably about the Apollo 13 mission. Mm-hmm. I don't remember precisely which mission that was.
Right. Fair enough. Neither do I.
Yeah.
We weren't alive.
Right. But it's still like the Apollo missions were pretty
famous.
I know the Apollo missions, some of them were the ones that, did all the testing to go to the moon and eventually went to the moon. I feel like it was like Apollo 7 or Apollo 9 that actually made it to the moon. So Apollo 13 somewhat later. I don't know if this is a historical film about the collapse of a space vessel on takeoff or on re-entry or something like that. Because I know that I think it was the Endeavour catastrophically failed on takeoff, so this is not that.
Don't ask me.
Yeah, but I don't know if... I also don't know if this is low-key a tongue-in-cheek film.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Given that the genres that we're working with, we've got docudrama.
Oh, interesting.
As one of, because obviously we get two options, right? We get the Wikipedia Spice of Life and we get the Google Slice of Life.
Yep.
So we've got docudrama or, if you don't like that, just adventure action.
Okay, interesting.
But it is based in fact, and the director wanted to create as factually accurate and scientifically accurate film as possible.
So there's probably not going to be aliens. Probably not.
Probably not. Maybe this is the real big drop. Maybe no one's just been saying there's actually no proof of aliens except for in the 1995 film Apollo 13.
Yeah, where they're like docudrama, kind of like, you know what, there's a bit of a tangent, but District 13, do you remember that film, that South African film? If that was done in the style of a documentary,
sure,
where they're just so casually okay with aliens being in South Africa, I think that would have the same kind of energy if this was it's a docudrama. There's aliens in space, but it's very normal and they're kind of weird anyway.
I don't think they could get away with that for this, partly because it is obviously based on real life events, but it's also based on, I guess, the account taken from a book that was written in the year before, 1994. One of the authors of which was one of the astronauts.
Well, I guess it's not a total loss of life event then.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Somebody survived to write a book, so there's that.
Maybe I shouldn't have told you that.
Well, no, I feel like I should know.
I had to tell you that it was based on a book written by someone with a lot of knowledge.
I feel like I should know what the Apollo 13 mission is. I don't quite remember.
Well, I'll leave the details out, obviously.
Yeah, we'll find out together as we watch this docudrama.
This is a highly rated film.
Really?
Yeah, it has 96% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, damn.
And it is, I think... if you can trust its own Wikipedia page, it's sort of considered one of the best films of all time, But of course, that's an incredibly subjective title.
Yeah, that's a big call.
Yeah.
Was this a recommendation from a patron?
I believe so. Oh. I believe this is another Lindy special.
We're 2 for 2.
2 in a row.
Yeah.
It was not only, high percentage on Rotten Tomatoes, it had 9 Academy nominations.
That's a lot of nominations.
Including Best Picture. It didn't win Best Picture, but... it did win 2 of those awards. It won for Best Film Editing and Best Sound.
Oh, interesting. I do like a space film that has good sound.
Yeah, so I'll be keeping an ear out for that soundtrack, the ambience, the general vibe. I'm excited.
Sound is so important in a film. I started to watch a movie a little while ago called Warhorse 1, and I got about 20 minutes into it. I thought there was something wrong with the recording or my computer or where I was playing it on Amazon Prime or whatever. Because the sound was so astonishingly bad.
Wow.
That there was...
Was it like a low budget film or just...
I didn't get that far into it. I thought there was something wrong. It was so bad I thought there was something wrong with my computer.
Damn.
The music was playing really loud and the dialogue was barely audible. Anyway, I looked it up. It's a poorly rated film. That is one of the reasons why.
Yeah.
It's just
that would be frustrating.
So horribly edited. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shouldn't have that problem here, I imagine.
having recently witnessed what I think some of the worst you can experience, I am looking forward to some
of the best.
Yeah, award-winning sound.
It was also a financial success. It was the 3rd highest grossing film of 1995.
I love it when we have a financial success. I always feel bad when the film we're reviewing is really enjoyable and good and rates well, but was a financial flop.
Yeah.
So
feel bad for all the people involved. Yeah.
Everyone worked so hard on this masterpiece and it didn't do well. Who's that director? I'm interested to know. I feel like it's
You're
Spielberg.
not interested in the 2 highest grossing films?
Oh, look, no, I am. I wanted to.
No guesses? You don't know any of the other 1995 top hits?
1995. I feel like that wasn't Gladiator 1995?
No, it was 2000.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, we did that so recently. I feel like we've done another film in 1995 that probably was the number 1 grossing film.
No.
Okay.
So, okay. I've seen one of these movies.
Okay.
The other one is a sequel, or it's not the first in a film franchise. But I wouldn't be surprised if you've seen it.
Doesn't help me at all.
Okay. I'll just tell you. The 2 films are Toy Story,
Oh, of course.
which I think is probably the top of the list.
Yeah.
I don't know. And Die Hard with a Vengeance.
I haven't seen that, actually.
So I don't know if that's the second, or I don't know where that lands in the Die Hard series, but yeah, those were the top 2 ahead of Apollo 13.
Yeah, well.
I mean, this is like peak Bruce Willis time, I feel like.
He's not in this as well.
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm not surprised that a Bruce Willis film was so highly rated.
Die
And
Hard.
Toy Story is a masterpiece, so...
I mean, look, Bruce Willis should have been in all 3 films by the sounds of it. Could you imagine Bruce Willis in Toy Story? It'd be very
I
silly.
don't know what he'd play. I don't know. I can't picture him as a voice actor because he's got such like visual recognition. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Anyway, let's talk about the director.
Yep.
Ron Howard.
I was going to guess Steven Spielberg, so...
No, well, you'd be wrong. Ron Howard. Now, Ron Howard is, when I first saw his name, I was like, okay, I don't think I've heard of him. But Ron Howard is actually quite a prolific director, I would say.
Yeah.
He actually started as an actor, and he was an actor on a couple of like old TV shows like Happy Days, I think.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I know the name Ron Howard, but that also could just be because it's like a very generic sounding name.
Relatively, yeah. He has produced Nepo babies, Nepo children, arguably the most notable of which is Bryce Dallas Howard.
That name
Who's an
doesn't ring a bell.
actress. Let me see. What would you have seen her in? She was in some Black Mirror episodes, or at least one, but she was also the female scientist in the new Jurassic Park movies.
I haven't seen the new Jurassic Park
Redhead?
films, I don't think.
Hang on, I'm going to pull up a picture because you've definitely seen her. There you go. You know her. Don't tell me you don't.
She looks kind of familiar. I feel like I've seen her in a spy film. I don't know.
Maybe.
IMDb. Let's have a quick look. Just for...
I mean, this is not a super important part. This is the director's daughter, so this is not super important.
Yeah,
but
well, we'll edit it
now
out.
that we're here.
She's in The Mandalorian. Oh, she's the director of 3 episodes. I might have seen her on the ads for Argyle.
Well,
I don't think I've seen her in anything.
everyone else in the universe knows who Bryce Dallas Howard is.
Good on them.
Anyway, so that's his daughter. But let's talk about his filmography,
Right, roger that.
because that's what we're really here to care about. I don't really recognize his earliest films. He started directing in the 70s with a film called Grand Theft Auto.
Good game. Haven't
Good
seen
game,
the
but I
film.
don't think it's based on the game, given that it came out in 1977.
Maybe.
To be honest, this movie, Apollo 13, is the first film on his list that I recognize from
Okay.
name. But then from there, we have a few. We have the 2000 Jim Carrey How the Grinch Stole Christmas,
A good
which
film.
I like, followed immediately by A Beautiful Mind.
Which I feel like should be on our list.
It probably is somewhere.
Have you seen it?
No.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Is
it.
that the one with Russell Crowe?
And Matt Damon.
Okay.
Matt Damon's like a gifted student, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're getting your wires crossed. Are you thinking of Good Will Hunting?
Yes, I'm thinking of Good Will Hunting. I haven't seen either of these films.
Well, let's just park that because we're getting several details wrong. So let's not worry about that right now.
Anyway, so he's done a film, one of which I haven't seen, but everyone's heard of.
It's fine because I'm correct. It's Russell Crowe.
Yeah, okay, good.
And it's just Russell Crowe. Anyway. He then did both The Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons.
I have seen both of those films, and they were good.
And then, sort of fairly recently, 2018, he did Solo, a Star Wars story, which we haven't seen.
We haven't seen that,
Which is
no.
rare because we've seen all the other Star Wars films.
I've heard not great things about it, though.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you wanted out of a film.
Right.
Like
I mean,
that.
we're easy to please. I would enjoy a Star Wars film, I mean, Rogue One is one of my favorite films of all time. Mm-hmm. So if it's even like holds a candle to that, then...
So that's a smattering of his filmography. There's plenty of others, but I picked out the ones that we would have heard of or seen.
Sure.
So he's got some pretty big ones under his belt, like
He's got chops.
He's got chops.
Is there anyone in the cast I should know? Because I can't picture anything about this film.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. That was the last thing I wanted to mention. It was my other tab that I have pulled up, so I didn't have to copy all this across. We have a fairly stacked cast, generally speaking. I mean, like not like stacked like, Ocean's 11 stacked.
We're looking at top 3 billing.
Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton, I don't know.
You might recognize his face. We'll get to that,
that's a bold saying.
That's true. Gary Sinise, who, again, I recognize his face. And then Ed Harris, who you would know Ed Harris from playing the man in the hat on the horse from Westworld.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's really good in that.
Yeah. So that's like I believe, probably our crew, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can imagine. I don't know that for certain, but that's what I'm assuming. And then also Kathleen Quinlan, who she did get nominated for Best Supporting Actress. I assume she plays someone important. That's like who Wikipedia kind of puts at the top of their cast, mentions.
Yeah.
So, but Tom Hanks, I think, is like the perhaps main, and then Kevin Bacon as well. They're like the two biggest names that have sort of...
Household name.
Yeah, thank you. I knew it was something about house.
So those two...
I would say Tom Hanks and Kevin Bacon have the most household name recognition out of the cast, but there's definitely some other heavy hitters up there.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll recognize some faces and I'll ask you, who is that? Have we seen this person before? Because that's
Tom Hanks, Frost.
That's what I say. I actually like Tom Hanks in kind of different roles like this. I saw him in Sully, which is that crashing the plane on the Hudson River.
Yep.
Where he he's the pilot, and it sort of shows him in his younger years as a test pilot. And I think he can do like those kinds of roles really well. So I do hope we get a little bit more of that. Some very serious Tom Hanks.
I mean, he plays a lot of serious movies.
I think he does it well. I enjoy Tom Hanks in basically anything he does. He's
America's sweetheart, let's be honest.
My sweetheart.
I think that's all there is to say. Neither of us know the details of the Apollo 13 actual mission, so we're going to go into this pretty blind, knowing that maybe at least someone survives. Probably.
All right.
That's all there is to say. Let's go watch some space.
First, we meet Jim Lovell, astronaut and loving family man. After the success of the first moon landing, Jim is tapped as the leader of a future mission to space aboard the Apollo 13. Months of training later, Jim and his team go through final checks, where one member is replaced due to medical risk. Pushing onward, Jim, Fred, and young Jack strap in for blastoff. One successful launch later, the mission is on. But 3 days in, during routine system checks, an explosion occurs, sending everything into chaos. All members of Apollo 13 and the entire NASA staff scramble to fix the rising problems and keep the astronauts alive. With the immediate issue solved, all turn their minds toward how the spacecraft will return to Earth with limited power and resources. Lots of jerry-rigging later, the world holds its breath watching as they re-enter Earth's atmosphere. Against all odds, they splash down, all 3 men surviving. Here's some deeper thoughts on the matter.
You know, all I can think of as that end credit was sort of starting to play and I had the big sort of uplifting music was Defying Gravity.
Oh, really? It's kind of a different vibe.
Very different vibe, but I was like, we were watching space movie, the space movie.
They did defy some gravity.
They did defy some gravity. There was some defying gravity going on. Oh, that was a pretty stressful film. Drama was right. It was what was a docudrama?
Docudrama.
Oh, I caught myself squeezing your hand at one point.
Yeah, trying to do some damage. I cried more in that than I have in most of the movies we watch.
I mean, that was a real, like, you're worried and stressed for the people, but you're also, like, empathetic for the family and everyone else doing everything. It was just, like, a lot of high emotions.
Yeah, and it's just, I think it's the collective emotion of it all, and it's the collective effort, the collective investment, all of it.
The passion, like, everyone
so
involved
much.
is passionate about this project and about, whether it's they're passionate about their electrical modules or they're passionate about their,
guidance systems,
whatever it is,
Yeah.
So everyone's got a vested interest. It really was a different time.
Space is scary, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I never want to go.
Also very cool.
Yes, I'm glad some people have gone,
Yeah.
but I don't want to be one of them.
right at the end of the film, he says that bit, it's like, I look up and I wonder when we're going to go back. I think there was like a dry spell, right, of people going to the moon from, like the 70s when the funding dried up, like 80-something was our last trip in that direction. I don't think people have landed on the moon in a hot minute.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, I think NASA has struggled with proper quote unquote proper funding since the moon landing, the first one.
It's so expensive, right? Like
That's
everything costs millions and billions of dollars because one bad coil from a cheap thing is what, destroys an oxygen tank, which destroys your module and blows out the entire operation. So
that's what I'm saying. So because it's no longer this big who's going to be first race, it's now like, well, who wants to be sixth? You know what I mean?
Yeah, who wants to go again? It is kind of fascinating because since like the long and storied years of science fiction, moon bases, mining on the moon, that's a whole thing. Moon tourism is a concept in science fiction. But like the reality is we're just so far from those technological capabilities of science fiction. Like even with the returning spaceships and stuff that have been developed and the more efficient space fuels and the better computers and stuff we have now, it is still like the amount of explosion juice you need to pack into a vehicle to get it off the moon and back to Earth, and then the amount of explosion juice you need to pack into a rocket to get that whole operation off Earth to the moon in the first place, let alone enough explosion juice to bring a base with you or parts of a base that you can assemble and somehow land.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's crazy. Yeah. There's so much. They showed a couple of little kind of points in this movie where they have to do kind of on the fly stuff.
Yeah, so they're making up the procedures.
He's doing the on the fly maths, which is like magic to me.
Yeah.
They're doing the adaptation of the CO2 filter. Like they're trying to figure out how to square peg round hole that. There's like a few other examples, and it's just crazy to me that there's people out there smart enough to figure that stuff out under that kind of pressure.
I do really like and this is obviously not fiction, like this is a real thing, that I think it's the JPL. I can't remember exactly what it's, something in Rocket Labs, JPR, RL, JRL, I don't know. The basically the nerds on the ground who have a complete clone of the lander and the command module and the service.
They're doing the simulations.
They're running simulations and they're able to just chuck, they said at some point during the film, they have half the world's PhDs in that room working on it.
Right.
They basically just put a bunch of the smartest people in this room and try and solve problems with, duct tape and plastic bags.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's real. It happened. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane that kind of stuff happens.
It is pretty wild.
It makes me think of The Martian, which obviously is a sensationalized fiction.
Yes.
But same concept.
Yeah.
Right? You've got...
It's just kind of taking it that step further to where we haven't been able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and not yet. They're thinking about it. We've got little robots on Mars.
Let's not cry more about the robots on Mars. I just wanted to quickly go back to you saying it's been a hot minute since we landed on the moon, and it has, because it's since 1972.
Oof.
According to Wikipedia.
Yeah, because there's been a couple of flybys, I think.
There's been unmanned landings.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. I'm talking about manned landings.
Yeah. People's feet.
Yeah.
People on the moon.
I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, don't at me.
I mean, you're looking at Wikipedia, right?
I'm trying, but there's a lot of technical. I'm pretty sure though it was 1972.
That's ages. I mean, there is a planned moon mission that has been plagued with budget blowouts and delays and stuff, but NASA are running this thing, I think it's called the Artemis program, and it's, they've got a new rocket and it's going to be great, and they're going to do another moon landing, and it's
going to be great.
It's going to be the best moon landing. But yeah, it is going to be quite interesting because a whole lot of the things in the Artemis program are running into problems because of US administration budget changes and those kinds of things.
Yeah, that'll do it.
It's tough with moving goalposts.
Moving away from real actual things that are happening right now. Back to the movie just for a second.
Yeah.
Really, really stellar acting jobs. I'm surprised that... I'm surprised that Hanks didn't get a nom for Best Actor. But he did a great job.
He did a great job, but I kind of get it.
It was... the ensemble cast of it all was just fantastic.
He wasn't a standout amongst...
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. Everyone did a fabulous job. They one of the guys to get a Best Supporting Actor.
Bacon?
Maybe? Let me double check that.
Because he was pretty good. I also thought flight director, the guy who plays Ed.
It was Ed.
Yeah.
Sorry, his name isn't Ed in the show. He's Ed in real life, Ed
Yeah.
Harris.
Yeah, Ed Harris.
He got Best Supporting Actor, and the wife, Mrs.
Lovell. Lovell,
She got a Best Supporting Actress role,
Yeah.
one which I get as well. She was fantastic.
Yeah, she really towed the line of like, I'm holding it together, but also you can see I'm falling apart, which was pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Had that really cute moment with the other space astronaut mum, which is
Yeah,
like
space wife.
She basically saw the media running over. What did she say? She was like,
She said, now remember, we're proud, thrilled, and something else.
Yeah,
She was like, these are the 3 words we're going to use for the media.
Yeah.
Just stick to those.
and then it just said exactly that because she was a bit flustered. It was, honestly, that's just a lot of great moments like that in this. You know, like shots of Houston and a bunch of nerds just like wiped out, like coffee cups and cigarettes everywhere.
Sleeping on their desks.
Sleeping wherever they can, like snapping to attention when Ed Harrison balls in and says, all right, well, we've got past that problem. Now how are we going to fix this next problem? I can see why he won a supporting role.
He didn't win. He just got nominated.
Well, he didn't win.
Sorry. Yeah.
I can see why he was nominated, though.
She didn't win either. She just got nominated.
Oh, wow.
The only win, like I said at the beginning, the only wins for this movie was Best Sound and Best Editing.
The sound, I think we did miss out on a bit because, you know...
I mean,
look,
yeah,
we've only got a little sound bar. It does a good job. It sounds great.
it's not cinema level quality.
We're
Though,
not-
surround.
We didn't shake the house apart when the rockets fired. And I feel like...
The music was good though.
the music was good, but isn't best sound not just best score?
I mean,
But best sound is best...
I guess technically there is a separate nomination. They were also nominated for Best Original Dramatic Score.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe you're right. You mean sound as in more like the actual like
Yeah, you know...
Foley.
Remember when
you know.
we watched Oppenheimer and its sound was just like blasted your absolute face off.
Yep.
They won for best sound. I mean, they won everything.
Yeah.
Right? But this had that same energy where the rocket sounds were just like...
Overwhelming and
Yeah.
loud and yeah.
And we definitely, even with our soundbar turned up to 40, I don't think we felt overwhelmed by rocket.
No.
House didn't shake.
But that's okay.
We didn't react.
I don't need to be shook.
it
was good.
was rough enough.
It definitely had the right level of anxiety-inducing sound
Oh, yeah.
at important parts.
Yeah.
You know,
Little,
even though I knew going in that they survive, like it's very impressive to be able to still maintain that level of anxiety and stress.
yeah, when the book is written by the guy who's in the pilot seat, it's like an all or nothing gambit at that point. 1 astronaut out of 3 doesn't survive.
Well, I did wonder if the guy who gets sick might, because he could have died potentially.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
I think he was that sick.
But like, I guess what I'm saying is he's sort of the worst for wear.
Right, yeah.
You know, out of the 3 of them. And I felt so bad for his wife. I wonder if she was really pregnant when he was up there, because my God, what a time
I mean, surely
to have 3 kids and 1 on the way, and your husband's
400,000 miles away,
yeah.
heading to the moon. That's like down to the shops for some milk and cigarettes. I'll be back pretty soon, hey. Oh, yeah, that was, look, it didn't feel like 2.5 hours.
I mean, it was long, but I don't think there was any. I think it was fine. It was good.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like they included unnecessary elements. You know.
Like they basically got straight into the we're going to space.
Yeah.
Let's go. There was no like slow ramp up where we get introduced to a bunch of characters slowly.
It was like a little bit of the training, and then of course the switch up when Ken can't go because of the measles of it all.
Yeah. Yep.
Which was sad, but then he obviously got to come and be the hero to figure out the
power problem.
re-entry plan.
Yeah. We were sort of saying, so there's a few like news cuts, right, where we get to see like footage that is certainly made to look as if it's from, you know, TV broadcasts from the
70s.
time. I wonder if those are real. Like you were saying, I wonder. I feel like they are.
Some of them surely are. Maybe even just the audio potentially of some of the radio coverage that we hear.
But
who knows?
The way that it's cut together makes it feel so cruel. Like there's this family watching for news of their pilot husband in space, and the news is just like, so if this heat shield fails, they're just going to blow up. It's just going to be like dynamite.
Yeah, I mean, but that's kind of how it is. That's what's so crazy is that it was just directly broadcast the details of the potential deaths of these 3 guys, right?
Yeah, staring at a train. I mean, like, media hasn't changed, right? We're attracted to the train crash of it all.
And also, I guess everyone is so invested still in... This is only...
Couple of years.
The year after... No, it's the year after we first landed on the moon.
Yeah.
So it's fresh still.
Yeah.
I mean, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong are at their house. I wonder if that happened, you know, to distract the grandma.
I wonder if there is a fact check of this film, because you said in the lead up here that the director wanted something that was authentic and real.
Yes, he really he wanted it to be as accurately in space as possible.
Yeah.
So they did a bunch of filming on a low gravity, no gravity ship or whatever, not a ship, but a plane or whatever. Yep. I don't know. They actually, all of the audio when they did that was unusable, so they had to ADR all of that.
Yep.
Whenever they're flying, in 0G, doing that. So that was well done, not noticeable.
No,
I knew that because I read on the wiki, but you wouldn't know that otherwise.
No. Yeah, there was certainly no egregious foley or bad mic recording.
No. They also, apparently the main crew, the cast rather, Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, etc. Feel bad for the third guy because I've already forgotten his name.
And we said this at the front, right? Those guys are the household names. Yeah.
They were basically, they went to space camp. They got taught what all of the buttons do.
I mean, you kind of have to.
Yeah. So they really got a crash course in being an astronaut in a lot of ways.
Which is kind of cool.
Which is very cool. And I think I do feel like it probably helped give them a bit more of this authority in that position of being in this role of I am meant to know everything.
I liked how... Kevin Bacon's character, Jack, is meant to be a bit of a rookie, right? This is his first time in space. He's much younger than the other two. So, he's the rook. He's the rookie relatively. He's obviously a very experienced...
Sure. Still a really smart guy.
Yeah. And I like
he's the bachelor.
When he's going to go and push buttons and stuff, he always looks so hesitant.
Yes.
Which is really funny.
Well, to be fair, I totally get that. And I enjoyed this sort of dynamic. It was stressful because obviously they have that little tiff when they're kind of at the peak of everything going wrong or whatever. But it was technically it was not his fault, but because he was following and doing the thing and checking the oxygen tanks, that's when everything went wrong.
Yeah.
And so, if you hit a button and everything went wrong, you'd question every button push you ever did again.
Yeah. And
no wonder he quit the space program and became a senator, or congressman or whatever he,
Or tried to be. Yeah, rough. That's, I mean, look, interestingly, right, because this is based on a true story and is mostly a real thing that happened, slightly dramatized, the measles thing wasn't exactly the reason that Ken couldn't be on the flight crew. It was something different or something. It really doesn't leave much to sort of conjecture. We're not here at the end of the film being oh, I wonder, will there be a second one? Is the bad guy going to come back? There's none of that.
No.
It's they did a really good job of wrapping this up in a nice little bow.
Right.
I feel like they told the story really well. I particularly enjoy space-themed documentaries because every time I watch a movie like this, I want to go and play Kerbal Space Program. Do you know what I mean? I like that thing. Don't want to go into space myself.
No.
Love the idea
Good.
of
You're not allowed.
Orbital mechanics.
I don't put my foot down often. I'm not one of those controlling partners.
You're not going to let me be an astronaut? How dare you? What do you mean I can't be an Australian astronaut?
Hey, you can try.
In our Australian astronaut program?
Go on, have a go.
That we definitely have.
Yeah, no, I also don't... I like space stuff. I do. I think it's interesting. It does freak me out a little bit. But what I like most about this film and films like it is the historical sort of world-affecting nature of it.
Yeah.
And the way that there was just so many people invested and involved, and that's what makes me cry, I think, partly when I'm watching it. It's just how affecting it is on such a broad scale.
I mean, this is sort of like the Wright brothers' first flight, but times 1,000.
Right. Brothers. Sorry. I'm reading more on the Wikipedia about the levels they went to, the actors invested to get this right. So Ed Harris, the flight controller, and a bunch of the other nerds in the control room went to essentially flight controller school and learned. They got a crash course in physics. They got and they reviewed hundreds of hours of footage and stuff from the original thing, and they were just super invested in making it really accurate, which I feel like Sure. I mean, I get kind of like you wouldn't really know unless you also knew a bunch about the original. Who's to say what's right and what actually happened or not? But I feel like it feels, as crazy as it is, it still feels believable. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I mean, like because what these actors are playing characters and what these characters are doing, it's not something that you or I know anything about, but it sure as heck looks the part.
Right.
And like it's a bunch of little stuff too. Like when they first go into that side office and he starts to draw on the projector to get the plan on the pull down light screen and the bulb goes like straight away. Like things are just going wrong with this mission.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was a gaffe. I wonder if that bulb was meant to blow.
I feel like it was almost a moment to demonstrate like we have to go back to basics.
Yeah.
And we can't rely on the plan. And the plan was to use this machine. Okay, whatever. Like it doesn't matter. We can do this anyway. I feel like it was sort of like a microcosm of what they were planning to do on such a macro scale.
It had a lot of little touches like that, especially in the flight room in Houston. And as time goes on, the state of the LEM, which they spend most of their time in, gets like cluttered and filthier, and like the condensation builds up, but also the Earth gets bigger and bigger and bigger in the windows. Kind of scary. Low key terrifying.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite lines was like, "Can we have that flight procedure soon, please? Because world's looking awful big in these windows."
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think this movie was really good, and I'm not surprised how successful it was, and I'm really not surprised at its really high Rotten Tomatoes score and people saying it's one of the best movies ever made, because I would tend to agree in terms of it definitely hit all the right emotional points. It was interesting from a scientific perspective.
It seemed accurate from a historical standpoint.
Yeah. And it felt like it was a really balanced kind of look at what really happened.
Not over dramatizing it, but still
not over heroic-sizing anyone either. Like there was a lot of people that's not a word, but you know what I mean? Like they could have made the Tom Hanks character like Lovell like this one-man show.
Yeah, action hero.
Yeah, and which would have been not accurate because these crews are teams and they have to work together. And it's just, it's very good. It's a high-stress movie.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
I feel bad that Tom Hanks didn't get to land on the moon, though.
Right. Poor Tom Hanks. Yeah, I mean, there's a sadness there. Like, it's affecting. But I guess also you've got to remember that he got to come home to his family.
Yeah.
And that ultimately he also got to do something that no one else got to do, was pull off this crazy mission.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yup.
And not everyone's dreams come true, and sometimes that's okay when your dream is as crazy as walking on the moon.
Look, you're right. What, like 20 people have done it, so he can miss out like the rest of us.
But yeah.
It was more than I'd thought. I always thought it was like 5 or 6 people. But like there were a couple of missions to the moon in like the 70s. They did a few.
It's like 12 people.
Yeah?
Nope. 24 have traveled to the moon.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
3 have made the trip twice, and 12 have walked on its surface.
Yeah.
Okay, so only 12. That's pretty low.
That's pretty low. Out of the billions and billions of people who have ever lived, 1 of 12, that's pretty...
It's 2 per mission that landed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, pretty crazy. Although, also crazy to think that 4 of those missions, so 4 of the 6 total, happened after this.
Oh, yeah.
So he watched more people,
do it,
which is definitely tough. I wonder why he didn't go back up. Like, I guess he said, like, he didn't want to put his family, I assume, put his family through it.
They have the crews lined up many missions
in advance.
Yeah,
that's
so
true.
You're training for Apollo 9 mission when the Apollo 1 mission is about to go.
Yeah.
So they've got, what is it? The prime crew and the backup crew. So that's 3 men apiece.
Hey, 3 people.
It was the 70s, babe.
It's true. I don't think a woman's walked on the moon.
No.
Definitely not.
Yeah, so it was 3 men apiece a crew with a backup and a primary crew, about 9 missions planned in advance. So you had 18 crews of 3 people. So you had about 40 astronauts at any given point, preparing specifically for their mission. Like they would all do similar sims for takeoff and landing and re-entry, but they would all have very specific simulations for their like very particular orbital mechanic because they're all landing in slightly different spots. Like they were meant to land on this lake, which I don't think have ever landed on because the other missions weren't going to go there. They're going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, they all have different landing sites, which is crazy. The whole concept is wild to me. Like it's still, I'm not one of those people that doesn't believe the moon landing happened, of course, but the concept of it is so wacky to me that this almost feels like
that we did it in the 70s. Like
we did it in 69.
Well, yeah.
And then we did a bunch in the 70s and then stopped.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that we did it with computers from the 70s, I've worked with computers from the 2010s and I have no idea how they got them to work back in the 70s. Like it is insane the advances in technology that we've had since then, but the advances that we had in technology because of that whole thing. Like,
right.
When you really sit down and think about it, the whole thing is wild.
Yeah, for sure. And like the idea that so many people were involved, right? Like in the construction of all of the individual pieces of equipment and all of the training and all of the calculations, all of it, it's actually wacky. Like it's not just like one really smart guy that everyone's like, yeah, no, Jim's got it. Like he knows everything. It's fine. We trust Jim. He's a genius, one of a kind. It's like thousands of people that you have to trust have done their job to perfection.
To things that you can't test. You can't build this thing and then test it. We don't have vacuum and zero gravity.
You're not testing it against re-entry conditions, you know.
So,
or at least, you know, you can try.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's just, I don't know, the absolute tenacity involved is just insane. I don't know, the confidence, not just the confidence, but the belief in your fellow astronaut and engineer is commendable, but also kind of insane.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's like a testament to human ingenuity, right? Like we went, see that rock up there? Gonna kick it.
Touch it.
Yeah. Gonna lick that rock. I wonder if anyone's licked a moon rock.
Yes, definitely.
I mean,
definitely. They planned on bringing back hundreds of pounds.
American pounds, yeah.
Like someone's definitely licked a moon rock.
I wonder how many people.
Some geologist somewhere.
Oh yeah. Yeah, geologists, if you're listening, if you know
geologists will lick a rock at a drop of a hat.
Yeah, but a moon rock?
Yeah, that's their first port of call.
This is a must know. If you're a geologist and you're listening, let us know. What's the black market for licking a moon rock go like? You're talking you gotta trade out your good quartz secrets? No, I don't know. I don't know enough about rocks to make this a thing.
Yeah, let's not make rock jokes.
I'm ready to rate it. I got very little else to say that it's about this film, so.
All right, well, I think you ought to take us away then.
I enjoy space-themed movies. I'm a real simp for
space.
No gravity and big rockets. So I'm going to give this 8.2. What's the procedure for that?
Only 8.2?
Well, I mean, like, I've seen a lot of movies like this, and 8.2 is a good rating. It's just not...
Okay, I'm surprised. I was expecting much higher.
Yeah.
I'm going to personally give this film 9.2 Houston's We Have a Problem.
That's a good rating. And look, it deserved some of the things for me that didn't get it quite up to the line is I look at it as like, yeah, it was a good film. How much did I really enjoy it? And I'm stressed.
Yeah, but sometimes that's good.
Yeah, sometimes it's
that's
good.
Impressive. You know what I mean? Like I personally, like I think I just said this earlier, so I'm just repeating myself, but the ability to create tension even though most people probably know the outcome is that they survived is impressive in and of itself.
And I agree with you. And it was a good film. And then I look inward and like, how much did I enjoy this film? If we're rating this as just like straight up good film, good sound, well acted, very solidly, that is what we're doing. But then I look at against all of that, how much did I enjoy it?
Ren.
And relatively, it was probably a better film for most people. I enjoyed it slightly less because maybe it's just, I've had a long...
pressure was a little high.
I've had a long week. I've had a long week at work.
It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
But I see what you're saying. I mean, I personally think that the being stressed out was sort of part of it. Yeah, and I agreed that it was done well.
Yes.
But I get what you're saying. Like, it's not always going to hit. You need to be sometimes in the right mood to be stressed out by a movie like this. But it does have a happy ending, so,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, yeah, a bittersweet ending.
A bittersweet ending.
Right.
I mean, they survive.
The mission that successfully failed, or whatever it was called, right?
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, like, to put this in context of, like, movies that I've rated really highly, enjoyed in the past, you know, we've given 9s and 9.5s to, well, this is not a movie, but to the Bridgerton series. Those had stressful moments, very different kind of situation, obviously, but very enjoyable way to spend the time.
Yes.
Much
more easy watching.
Easier watching, but also, like, you want to keep watching and keep press play and give me that next episode.
Yeah.
So, like, the enjoyment of that, much higher, even though the quality of this film probably arguably
higher. So, yeah, I mean, very different genre. It's so hard to compare, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
When we're trying to boil something down to a simple number.
Look, okay, no, I'm not arguing. I think that's, you know, you're perfectly valid for your rating. I just thought, you know, I'm surprised I rated it higher than you, but I think I cried a lot. It really got me in my feels.
Yep.
There's some specific things sometimes in movies that really get me emotionally, and that to me is like impressive when you can do that.
But without making you hate the film.
Without making me, making me be like, oh, that was an emotional wreck.
It was too much.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. It wasn't too much. I would recommend this film. Drop of a hat. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's history.
You don't need to know about the Apollo 13 in detail either.
They do a really good job of explaining 1970s orbital mechanics and rocketry.
Yeah, and they explain it, well, because they're showing footage of the news explaining it to the public.
Yeah.
So it's like a few different levels of it's really accessible.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's going over your head in any way.
I think the only thing that sort of comes close to that is there's a little bit of dialogue, you know, between Houston and the crew, and like just amongst the Houston people when they're not talking to the crew, that if you know, they're sort of throwing away comments. Like they talk about how the re-entry is coming in a little bit shallow, which is a really strange way of saying they're coming in like too hard to the planet, like they're going to drop below the envelope. And it's like, if you're not...
But they do explain that a few times.
Yeah.
They do a good job. You won't get lost. It's a great movie. Bit stressful. Tom Hanks is great. The rest of them are great. You might cry.
You probably will.
You probably will cry. The kids did a great job.
Kids did a good job.
All the kids did a great job.
Whole show. So go watch this film.
Yeah, would recommend. Also, made in a great year.
Good year, 1995. Don't know why, but just a very solid year.
I think that'll bring us to the end of today's episode on Apollo 13.
You can catch us on our socials. We've got Instagram, Patreon, Facebook. You can comment on things and like and subscribe in other places.
Yeah, rate us wherever you can.
Listen to us on wherever you get your podcasts.
And give us any recommendations you have. Thank you for this Patreon request. Highly enjoyed, and encourage anyone who has requests space or not related movies to tell us about them so we can add them to our ever-growing list.
Until next time.
Until next time. This episode of the Better Late Than Never Club is brought to you by our patrons: Alex, Christopher, Lindy, Matthew, Nathan, and Rachel.
And also our members: Aimless, Andrew, Raina, Salty Pond, and Simon.
Thank you for listening.